Coach, thanks for joining us on the call. If you would just give us an overview of how your spring went and what your priorities and focuses through the rest of the off season.
Yeah, I thought our spring finished up really well. We were able to come out as fairly healthy, and that's what I think all of our goals are as you're coming through it. We've got 9 guys back defensively, so we've got a couple of holes to fill over there. We've got more dramatic type moves that we have to make offensively, and so I thought we were able to kind of build as a program. I thought our guys worked extremely hard over the winter break, and that showed up in spring ball. We've been a young team the last couple of years, and some of those young guys have gotten a lot of experience, and now's the opportunity, hopefully, for them to kind of see that come full circle, and we got to see glimpses of that as we went through spring. So I'm excited about the future. Feel very encouraged about where our players are right now, and I know we have an extremely tough schedule in front of us. But excited about the opportunity and getting back on the field with our guys.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions for Coach Philip Montgomery. Please *1 on your keypad to join the queue, then the operator will introduce you.
Our next question comes from Mark Narducci with Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Coach, would you be able to tell me about Zach Smith and his development now that he'll be able to play for you guys this year?
Yeah, Zach had a great spring. It was good to get him out there and get him in the flow of it. He's a guy that's got a tremendous arm. He's got a great mind as far as what we're doing offensively. And, there was times in there where you really got really strong glimpses of what I think he can do on the field. Obviously, when you have to sit out for a year, you've got to knock some rust off. I think the sit part of it was beneficial for him and allowed him to get healthy, get his body right, give him an opportunity to kind of take a step back and understand the game, learn more about the game. And I saw a lot of that as we went into spring ball. So I'm encouraged by what he's shown. We had a good competition throughout spring. That will continue as we get into fall camp. But I thought Zach did a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And next will be Andrew Doty with Hero Sports.
Good morning, Coach. As you go through the first year of the NCAA transfer portal, how do you like or dislike the new system? Is there anything you'd like to see change with it moving forward?
Yeah, I mean it's been an adjustment, that's for sure. I think for me personally, I would like to see it to where, leaving it open and allowing guys to transfer, that's great. I think we really have to address what it's going to do and how it's going to affect your APR. Those measurements and how guys are leaving and moving on, it's going to affect all of those things. And I think we ought to put a blanket rule in there to some shape or form to say, okay, if you want to transfer, that's great. But if you do transfer, everybody's going to sit a year. And if you graduate from the university, then you get your year back at the back end of that deal. I think that would help not only us as coaches. I think it would help the NCAA and some of the things that are happening right now where you're trying to make judgments on this guy or that kid and the reasons why they're transferring. If you just made a blanket statement to say you transfer, you're going to sit a year. And if you graduate from the university that you transferred to, you get that year back on the end. And I think that would be a beneficial agreement on both ends.
So correct me if I'm wrong here. I want to confirm really quickly. You would just prefer if they eliminated all waivers, just make it simple and easy for everybody, right?
Just make it simple and easy. If you want to transfer, that's great. Obviously we're not putting any stipulations on you. But I think there's just so much in the middle there of trying to figure out, what really is going to be passed as far as the waiver part goes. And I think if you just said everybody's going to sit a year and you get the year back on the back end of it, I think that'd be fair all the way across the board.
Thanks, Coach. I always appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Dan Tortora with wakeupcallvt.com.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm good, Dan. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. To go back to one of your comments just a couple minutes ago about Zach and just what he's done, the competition as a whole, just what you've seen from your quarterbacks through the spring and why that competition continues, just kind of what you've taken away from what you've seen up to this point.
Yeah, just encouraged. I mean, the last 2 years, we've had to start redshirt freshman quarterbacks, guys that have never had experience underneath their belt, and you throw them out there and they've got to learn a lot. And for this year, with Seth coming back after starting, 6 or 7 games this past season and kind of going through the growing pains with him, but also seeing his improvement as the year went on and then seeing him be able to carry that over and come into the spring and how he operated this spring, you just see the growth happening. With Zach started games as a freshman and a sophomore, then transferred to us and sat. So he's got that experience underneath his belt. Now you do have to kind of knock the rust off, get him back in the groove of it. But it's good to see those guys competing every day, going out and continuing to get better, growing from mistakes that they made the day before, trying to put them in situations, as much game-like situations as we can to help prepare them for what's coming. So to see those guys continue to grow and mature with their decision-making, with reading out different processes as we go through, I was much encouraged by that.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dan.
Take one more for Coach Montgomery, please.
And that will come from Chris Vanini with The Athletic.
Coach, there's a rule change earlier this week that would essentially outlaw blindside blocking. Just curious if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think the first thing that you got to kind of agree with, number one, is we're trying to improve our game and make our game safer. Anytime we do that, and we can keep our student athletes safe on the field, I think it's a positive. Now, when you get into it, how is it going to be officiated? How is it going to be called? I still think it's kind of a judgment call. Is it one of those things that kind of, flashes across the official's face and he's not really sure what he saw, but he's concerned, so he throws? I mean, you don't want to put so much on the official that he's trying to guess a little bit. You want it to be clear and definite. So I'm kind of holding back a little bit, seeing how this is going to be officiated and how it's going to be played into our game. And so to hold judgment on the verdict of that a little bit is kind of the way I'm feeling right now.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, thanks so much for giving us a few minutes today. I look forward to catching up again in Newport in July.